Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. After I don't know what, 2 week, 3 week hiatus, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I want to start this little show by pretty much apologizing for being out for a while. It's been a pretty hectic couple of weeks at work. Had to stay extra hours. Had situations come up where I couldn't be on the show or couldn't make a show. So, I was pretty much, I was still doing some coverage with the striker, but I just could not find the time to be able to go live on the show. So for that, I apologize. Hopefully, all of that is behind us now that that particular milestone at work has been reached. So here's hoping for the best. But guys, it is a pleasure to be back. This week, it is going to be on a solo run due to this being kind of like a last minute change into the usual schedule. You guys, if this is the first time you're here, we usually go every Wednesday evening at around 7:30 p.m. But, on Wednesday I had to, wait, what was it? Yeah. So Wednesday there was a game. Thursday I had to stay late at work. In fact, I even had to come to the house and continue working. So there was no way I could have done a show there. And well, today's the day, ladies and gentlemen. But guys, I do want to thank the time to thank the Beautiful Game Network, everything that they do for all their patients, as well as their sponsors, Roughneck Scarves and Icarus FC. And of course, our sponsor, Natural Beauty Spa. And also, I do want to thank all of our patrons for all of their financial support for the podcast. If you guys are interested in helping us financially, you can always jump on patreon.com/downinthergv, and you can check out all the different tiers that are available. They all have different perks. I know I'm falling behind when it comes to the perk of have on a round table, the monthly round table with the Patreons. But hopefully I can get that squared away soon, starting the month of July. So be sure to check it out. And of course, I want to thank all of y'all who are tuning in right now for your support. And be sure to like this video if you guys do enjoy this little discussion that we're gonna have today. Be sure to share it with all of your friends, and of course, be sure to subscribe if you have not done so already. So huge shout out to the chat, to Jorge Pedraza en vivo. That is correct. Estamos en vivo desde McAllen, Texas, and it's great to be back, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, let's get the show on the road. So, the Toros, where did we leave off? So we left off, if I'm not mistaken, after the win against the Miami FC. So that was pretty much a very interesting game where the Toros had started off the game horrendously, and I'm not afraid to say it. They were 2-0 down at the half, and it could have been a whole lot more. The defensive lineup was a mess. I don't know if they could not, get used to the turf in Miami. But anyway, they got the job done in the second half. They ended up winning 4-0. Then they came back to HEB Park, where they defeated Real Monarchs 1-0. That lone goal, if I'm not mistaken, was scored by Wan Kuzain. It was that play where Wan Kuzain pretty much surprises Justin Portillo off of a goal kick, steals the ball away. The ball away. Excuse me, I can't English correctly. Stole the ball in the 18-yard line, inside the 18-yard box, and then just slots it in for the win. Everything was going fine up to that point. Then came Wednesday, June 16th, where it was a crucial Copa Tejas match between the Toros and Austin Bold FC. Austin Bold, while they really aren't the best playing team, the most neither the most effective nor the most entertaining team to watch. They were going into that match with believe I had said it was a 2-game undefeated streak. And not only that, they managed to get shutouts in those games as well. They had defeated Pittsburgh Riverhounds 1-0 in Pittsburgh, and then went to Isotopes Park for New Mexico against New Mexico United, and they got a 0-0 draw there as well. And talking about it with the other guys from the Striker, we were mentioning that the team Austin Bold had a completely new starting starters or strikers. The offensive line, it was pretty much all new, specifically the starters. So they were saying that it was going to take some time for them to get used to the new players, get used to the system under Marcelo Serrano, so on and so forth, right? The Toros began, like they usually do, they began dominating the game. They began early in the game creating chances on the goal, and Cerrito scores in the 21st minute. Everything was smooth sailing, throughout the first half. It was complete dominance by the Toros in the first half. And then the second half came, and I just don't know what happened. The team looked lost out there. Austin Bold began controlling more of the game. They get Okoli gets the equalizer in the 55th minute. He had come in at halftime, for Torres. And from then on, the Toros just looked stunned. They tried to get back into the lead. They believe they had some opportunities. I think Vicente Sanchez had one that hit the post. That looked similar to the goal he scored against, I think it was San Diego Loyal. Yeah. Total, it looked like the game was going to end in a 1-1 draw. Not the best of results, but, a point at home. Okay. All right. At least it's something. 95th minute, we're already in stoppage time. The Toros get called a foul right outside the 18-yard box against, or the Toros, they call a foul against, and Garcia scores it. Garcia, I just had a feeling. I had a feeling that the Toros were going to concede in that play. What I saw from on top of the press box, it looked like there were too many players on the wall, and they were not allowing Tyler Derrick to get a good view of the ball. I had a feeling that if that ball were to go past the wall, it would have been too late for Tyler Derrick to react to get to this shot. And that's exactly what happened. So we dropped 3 points at home against Austin Bold FC. That Saturday, the Toros go on to play against San Antonio FC, where they lose they get scored on in the 13th minute off of Austin Dillon. I think that's his full name. Excuse me. And that game was like, what is it when it's a term where you're thinking of something or where you feel like you've done it before. But anyway, it was almost a cut and paste copy of the last time the Toros faced San Antonio in San Antonio. Early in the game, one of the players gets injured. They have to make an early substitution. It happened this time again with San Antonio. They had to bring in Ollie Wright. And then in the 13th minute, Dillon scores off of a assistance by Ollie Wright. And if I recall correctly, that play, Ollie Wright dribbles from the touchline, the left touchline, dribbles it into the top of the midfield. And the positioning, I believe it was Eric Pimentel, and we'll get back to him when we talk about this last game, left the door wide open for that through ball to Dillon. And he did not make pressure. They did not put pressure on Ollie Wright to avoid finding a comfortable touch. But he didn't block that passing avenue either, And so the Toros concede early in the 13th minute. Hey, Jorge, thanks for tuning in. Hello from McAllen, Texas. Welcome back to the show, bro. Hope you enjoy it. Guys, I want to get your thoughts as well in the chat. So if you guys don't agree with me on something, put it in the chat. I'm more than happy to have a little conversation with y'all, even if it is through the chat on YouTube and of course Facebook Live. I see y'all right there. So by the way, guys, be sure to share it. Let your friends know that we are live, at least for today. And so anyway, where was I going? So after the Toros concede, 10 minutes later, Sorto gets on the score sheet to equalize this game. It was a play where Elvis Samo sends a through ball over to Sorto. And of course, the issue that the Toros were suffering in previous games, including that last game against San Antonio FC, because in that last game, RGV had a couple of 1v1 opportunities and they just couldn't take advantage of them. They either shot it straight towards Matt Cardoni or they shot it wide. This time, Christian Sorto is able to get the shot right into the net, gets the equalizer. From then on, it was very gritty. It was very pretty much it was estaba parejo. The game it was a 50-50 game, and I think the equalizer was a very fair result considering what I was seeing in that game. And then last Friday, gonna be honest, I didn't see that game live. I was in Houston for my cousin's wedding, but at least I had my watch and was seeing the the tweets coming by, haciendo corajes, so the Toros lost that game 2-0, and based on statistics alone, it seemed like the Toros were the ones that were dominating the game, right? They had a lot of opportunities. In fact, let me see if I can get to that match center. They had a lot of opportunities to score. They had a lot of crossing opportunities. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about that game. While statistically the Toros dominated, it didn't matter. Now that's the thing about soccer. You can dominate statistically all you want, but if you don't put that little ball back in the back of the net, it's going to do you no good. So one of the things I was talking about in the last, the Striker Tejas podcast with, who was it? It was Jonathan Check of San Antonio. It was Ross Fisher of Austin. And obviously Joe Rodriguez of El Paso Locomotive. But, we were all talking about this game against Tulsa. And one of the things that I mentioned in there was that, okay, you had 29 total crosses in this game. 29 total crosses, which means you pretty much had Tulsa sitting back, or you pressured Tulsa within their own 18-yard box. But what good is that when only 20.7% of those passes actually found a teammate? You're not putting yourself in a good scoring situation when you can't really get some accurate passes, And then another statistic that, that was worrisome was you had 27 shots. You had 27 shots. Only 3 of those were on target. And so Wilmer Cabrera, after that game, he actually talked about that situation. He knew that it was an issue that really needed to be fixed because, if you can't score, how are you going to put yourself in a position to win? And another observation that I had on there was the fact like, okay, so I talked many times in this podcast. I said, look, The Toros, they're winning. I'm enjoying it. But to be honest, it's the defensive lineup that's been holding up this team to get these positive results, right? It would win 1-0 or 2-0 or get the equalizers, right? But what's going to happen if the defense doesn't show up? Well, other than the exception of that game against Miami FC, the Toros struggled to score. You know, you saw it many times where the Toros just couldn't find a way to get an equalizer or to get or to revert the score. You know, so I mentioned it. I said, look, if the defense doesn't show up, or if Tyler Derrick doesn't make the saves that he was making at that time, well, how are we gonna revert a result when our offense is struggling to score? So they needed to step up, and they were not stepping up neither against Tulsa nor against Austin Bold the couple of days before that game. And so Wilmer Cabrera, he said, where they asked him about all those shots again. He says, yeah, we did. Definitely they need to. We've been doing it, talking to them about it, but we have to continue because it's a process to make sure that at this time, we have to be a little bit more solid in our defense because we are conceding goals at home. That's not good enough. We have to handle that defensive part a little better because despite having 3 center backs, and once we talk about that game, we'll talk about the formation and the lineup. They have scored 2 goals. We have to be more solid defensively. We are going to continue working with the defense, and we cannot stop working on the definition, so that we can find the opposite goal. So, keeping in mind that this team is still in a transition period, looks like Wilmer Cabrera, his emphasis is to make sure that the defense is solid, and that way, we can just we rely on the defense so that way we can just score. We're not going to be a top scoring team. It's going to be where we're going to be making like 4 or 5 goals, right? He wants to be solid defensively so that way he gives the offense an opportunity. Even if they just score 1, but that 1 goal will be enough to get the 3 points, right? Wilmer has always said, look, according to his philosophy, Wilmer says that a soccer team cannot be a good offense and a good defense. I disagree, but that's what he says. Because he says when you focus on being a good offense, you're going to not create some havoc, but you're not going to put enough attention on the defense. Your defense is going to suffer, and vice versa. If you put a lot of attention on your defense, your offense is going to suffer, right? And so he wants to work more than anything on the defensive organization with Arturo Dispe, with Eric Pimentel. He brought in Roberto Albuquerque. He brought in Lewis Ramsey. He's got Carter Manley, Adrian Vera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's his game plan. And that's the way Wilmer is, and he's got the reins to the team, and I have high hopes. I think the fact that we are still on top of the Mountain Division, I think it speaks volumes that so far with what he's got, Wilmer has pretty much made use of this roster that he himself built. But that offensive problem, I mean, pardon the redundancy, but it was starting to be a problem because we had lost 6 points at home. And that honestly is unacceptable to a lot of fans, But so he talked about, okay, we need to work on the definition. We need to work on the shooting accuracy. We want to have an opportunity. Okay. So they worked on that during the week. And now we fast forward to this game on Wednesday that we played against El Paso Locomotive. Keep in mind, El Paso Locomotive was coming into this game undefeated, and we were clearly the underdogs according to the USL Championship, but that's neither here nor there. but we were coming into this game as underdogs in our own home, you know. So it was one of those games where the team was trying to prove something to the rest of the USL. We go into this game, and this was we'll take a look at the starting formation. So interesting here was that this is technically the second time we're seeing that the Toros were using a 5-man back line. Usually Wilmer Cabrera, we talked about it. Usually he would employ 4-2-3-1 or 4-4-2, something around those lines. But basically a 4-man back line. It was, you got your left back, you've got Eric Pimentel, Arturo Dispe, and your right back, because it was usually either Grant Robinson, Adrian Vera, on the other side, Carter Manley, Camden Riley. Hey, what's up, Mike? Good to see you in the chat, bro. So it was usually a 4-man back line. You're good, man. I started late as well, with work. But yeah, let everybody know that we're live, and it's today's a solo session for me. Hopefully, things go back to normal next Wednesday. I mean, I'm gonna be on vacation for a week, so I don't have to worry about work for that particular week. But anyway, moving on. So for this game, you had the RGVFC Toros with what looked to me as a 5-2-1-2. You had Tyler Derrick on goal. You're not going to move Tyler Derrick. You had Carter Manley playing as a right wing back, line of 3 center backs with Eric Pimentel. The biggest surprise for me was seeing Camden Riley as the central center back. I thought that was interesting because usually Camden Riley plays as a right back, where in a 4-man formation. Now you're seeing him as a center back between Eric Pimentel and Roberto Alburquerque. He is a player that just came in a couple of weeks ago. Or in the games that he played, I think his first game was against San Antonio. And he played in that similar position as the left side center back for the Toros. And then as the left wing back, you had Adrian Vera. Now, before I move on to the midfield, I know in tweets, and I would criticize Vera, saying, okay, so I don't see why Wilmer Cabrera is putting Adrian Vera as a left back, and I continue to say it. Mike Reyes says Edward should be back soon. He scored today, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, against Haiti. So a huge congratulations. I know it was his birthday, I think yesterday. And he gets a goal in an official match with St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So so a huge congrats over to Kyle Edwards if he does listen to Down in the Valley. And I'll actually tweet. I think I already tweeted at him. But I can't wait to see him back. It's going to be interesting seeing him as with the Toros again. And once I finish talking about the lineup, you'll understand why. So, talking about Adrian Vera, I don't like him as a left back and a line formation. Why? Because Vera is more of a midfielder. He is more of he has more offensive capabilities than defensive capabilities. I think Adrian Vera, when he has to stay and defend, he looks very lost out there. It seemed like Adrian Dispe has to pretty much do the job for himself and for Adrian Vera, because the opposing team would go past him very easily. Once he started pushing up, and you started seeing better capabilities from him. And now in a five back formation, playing as a wing back, you got to see more of his offensive capabilities, because so this is what happens, right? So you got a 5-man back line. When the Toros decide to move up and attack through the left, which is what they tend to do so a lot, according to the heat maps. I know Nico Quintero was telling me that on Wednesday, that the Toros rely too much on attacking through the left flank, right? But when the Toros would attack through the left, Carter Manley would stay, and they would pretty much form a four-man line in the back, or he would move up just a little bit, but not as high up as Adrian Vera, and vice versa. When the attack went with Carter Manley, Adrian Vera kind of stayed a little bit more behind, So there was always somebody in behind him to take care of that particular area of the field in case there was a counterattack by the opposing team, in this case, El Paso Locomotive, right? So he didn't really have to rely too much on his defensive talents when he plays as a wing back. So I saw a lot of promising instances from him in this particular game when he would go up to attack, especially with his crossing. I think from all of the players, I think he's got to be almost one of the best crossers for the Toros, for the ones that started. So hopefully we can see a bit more from him using a 5-man back line. I don't know if Wilmer's going to continue using that formation. He might not, depending on the situation. And here's the thing, guys. The Toros are playing without a 9. They were pretty much playing in a false 9 formation. Elvis Amo is apparently injured. So they really don't have another nominal striker in their lineup, which is a huge yikes for the Toros, but it's a good thing that Kyle Edwards will be back, so he can probably play as that nominal number 9 for RGVFC. But in the meantime, I mean, you can only play with false 9s, with your wingers like Sorto and Cerritos playing, as you can say, the strikerish, the most higher up in the middle, but they really weren't strikers. And here's the thing about Sorto and Cerritos. Honestly, I didn't like the way they played in the first half. The Toros, yes, they got the goal pretty much early in the game off of a set piece, off of a corner kick play. You got to add into consideration the horrible communication between the El Paso defensive line in that attempt to create the offside trap that pretty much left 4 Toros players alone in front of the keeper. The ball lands towards Carter Manley, and he scores, the opening game. But other than that, the Toros had the possession to score another one, had a situation or had a play, I think in the 27th minute, where they could have easily scored another goal off of Christian Sorto, but his attempt hits the post and out. And so, but other than that, the Toros look stagnant. I saw Cerritos and Sorto, mostly Cerritos, where there were many opportunities to move up into the box. He just stayed outside. It looked like he wasn't really trying to open himself up to create space. It looked like he was hiding behind the defenders, not trying to beat him behind their back, with some running diagonally into the box or something like that. No, it was very stagnant. It was very predictable. It really wasn't a good performance by the Toros in the first half. Then once again, the Toros concede a goal off of a free kick. This time, it was Aguinaga that got the goal at the 31st minute. It was a situation where the Toros. See, I don't think this is really a fault of the Toros, because there were defenders like following Aguinaga. I think it was just a lucky deflection, because to me it looked like who was it? Let me try to remember who was the one that set the shot. Was it? Might have been Luna. It might have been Luna. No, it wasn't Luna, because he was a young guy. Herrera? No, my bad. Dylan Mares. Dylan Morris. Dylan Morris sets the free kick. It looked like he was going straight towards goal. I think it just managed to clip Aguinaga, and that deflection put Tyler Derrick looking the other way or throwing himself the other way, and there was really nothing he could have done. But at the end of the day, they concede another goal off of a free kick. I mentioned that against Austin Bold at home, they also, right at the last second, they conceded another goal. So there was that. The second half, the Toros started off groggily again. There were no substitutions made. And the Toros, it looked like they were playing the same offensively, right? However, they did get a goal. I think it was in the 51st minute off of, and let me go ahead and confirm that for you. Wankuzane in the 61st minute, they get a goal in where once again that high pressure defense by the Toros paid dividends for them. The Locomotive tried to play out of their box with a possession style game. They try to go look into the midfield towards Dylan Mares. Eric Pimentel steals the ball, intercepts the ball away from him, gets in a 50-50 with I think it was Nick Ross. The rebound lands towards Rodrigo Lopez, gets a shot, gets deflected. The ball lands straight towards Wankuzane, and he scores the ball into the back of the net, gives the Toros back the lead. That's when Wilmer Cabrera starts making some substitutions, some more offensive substitutions. He brings in Vicente. He brings in first Juan Carlos Azócar into the match for Alexis Cerritos, and right off the bat, you could tell that Juan Carlos Azócar brought something different, a different spark for the offense of the Toros. Juan Carlos Azócar is a much more direct player when it comes to attacking. When he gets the ball, he is going to go out there and he is going to go to attack, and he is going to try to look for runs to beat the defensive back line with the through balls or anything like that. He's got a bigger spark. He has more sacrifice to create those chances for his team compared to Alexis Cerritos, or at least what we saw in this game against El Paso Locomotive, So his substitution made a huge difference. Then you bring in Vicente Sanchez as well in the 71st minute for Christian Sorto. And then 2 minutes later, after that substitution, there was a play where the El Paso Locomotive, I believe it was a corner kick that they had. They lose the ball. It was Juan Carlos Azócar steals the ball away from Diego Luna, starts running towards the El Paso Locomotive goal to try to build off of a counterattack. Nick Ross pretty much tackles him NFL style. He goes down. The ref is about to call the foul, but Azócar gets back up really quickly. You could tell that's hunger right there, and fair play to Juan Carlos Azócar, which I really admire from him. So he gets up, he continues to run towards the ball. The referee gives the advantage. Here's the thing, though, about that play as well. Juan Carlos Azócar, not only does he run quickly to create the counterattack, but he had the timing to slow down, wait for his teammates to come by and help him out. Vicente Sanchez makes a run towards the inside of the box, right towards his right. He attracts the marking of Boehner, I think. It was Boehner or Yuma Monsalves. Total. He attracts the mark, but here comes Rodrigo Lopez right behind him, left unmarked. Azócar sees that and passes the ball straight towards Rodrigo Lopez, dribbles into the box, gets that low-driven shot. Goal number 3 for RGVFC Toros. It was a very beautiful play for the Toros, and I think a lot of fans love to see that from Juan Carlos Azócar. But that's the thing about Juan Carlos. Juan Carlos, he's different, man. He's very talented. He is a very, very talented winger. striker, whatever you want to call him. You know, we need that from him. And I don't know if he's fit for the 90 right now at this moment, but as soon as he is, I think he has to be the starter over Christian Sorto or Alexis Cerritos. I don't know, you know, who you would prefer him to bench, but Juan Carlos has to be the starter. Don't get me wrong. He's very great as the revulsivo coming in. He's very clutch coming off of the bench, but I would like to see him as a starter and see what he brings to the table. If he can bring that creativity to the offense when he comes off of the bench, you know. So the Toros concede a goal, and honestly, Lucho Soniñac, he's got our number. Not only did he score on us a lot against when he was with San Antonio, he keeps scoring against us now in his time in El Paso. The last time the Toros faced El Paso over there at SWUP at Southwest University Park, he was the guy that scored the goal in the 30 seconds into the match. Now he gets the 3-2 in the 82nd minute for El Paso Locomotive, but it was too little too late, you know, for El Paso Locomotive. They weren't able to get the equalizer, and you know what? I'll take it. I'll definitely take it. And I think it proved a point to a lot of people within the USL that, you know, this Toros team might be legit. You know, the fact of the matter is there's still a lot to improve. But hey, you know what? If there's still a lot to improve, and yet we're still on top of the Mountain Division. Now, I'm not saying we're the best team ever. I'm not saying that. But I'm just simply saying that even with what we've shown, there's still a lot of potential in this team to be a whole lot better. So once they get into that groove, once we start getting the strikers, once we get those players back off of the injury list, this is a team to be reckoned with. Now, moving forward, it's gonna be a lot. There's gonna be some good tests up ahead because you're gonna play against Rayados Monterrey at friendly on Sunday. I don't expect them to go all out, knives on their between their teeth kind of play. No, but they do play against Austin Bold in Austin on Saturday. Next Saturday, the 10th. They travel to Orange County, who is doing really well out there in the Pacific Conference. And then they go to play Phoenix Rising on the 17th. On the 17th, they go to Phoenix to play Phoenix Rising. Now you have to remember, Phoenix Rising, although they are not at their best this season, Phoenix Rising is still Phoenix Rising. They're still one of the best teams in the USL Championship, you know, and you're playing them at home. So it's going to be a good test to see how Wilmer Cabrera's team can go up against a historically good team like Phoenix Rising is. Now, after the game, the Wilmer Cabrera didn't show up at the press conference. However, we got a chance to see Gerson Echeverry once again in the post game media interview. And, one of the things we talked about the Toros struggling with shots, right? And that they wanted to pretty much focus on improving that situation. He says, we were in dire need of those 3 points, so it's really a 6-point swing. So they're right behind our heels, and we want to make sure we keep some distance between us and them. So we still feel that we still have a lot of soccer to prove, and we have a lot of things that we need to work better as a team. And I think that the last 3 games, as you can see overall as a team, I think they're a little bit better in regards to how they know each other. We're still tinkering with some things. We're still missing some guys. And I think our better soccer is still to come. It's not something we want on the fact of different players producing goals, but it's just out of dire need. You know what I mean? You rather play with a true 9, just a guy who's a target. But however, sometimes when you don't play with a 9, it's difficult to reference certain guys. I think some of the guys that we had here, their movements are very good. The only problem is that too many times, as you guys can probably see, when we were getting in certain areas, there's just no representation inside the box. That's something that we talked about at halftime, and I think we did a better job. And I saw that, mentioning how stagnant the offense was in that game. There were multiple times where Sorto or Carter Manley or even Vera were trying to find that cross, but Cerritos was outside the box and there was nobody inside. How are you going to expect your teammate to cross when he's got no target in there? Those kind of things that made me think what's going on with Cerritos and Sorto, And Tristan Echeverry said it, so it's not a me thing. So if there's people out there saying, "Oh, you're too negative," or I know Joe from the Striker Texas, he was like, "Well, you guys are still the top of the West, and here you are still criticizing some things about the team." It's just the fact that it's a bigger responsibility now that this team was actually built to our specifications. The responsibility to play well is a lot higher than when you're just developing certain players for a parent team like the Houston Dynamo, So there's that. And yeah, that was pretty much it for that game against El Paso Locomotive. It was a very good result, I think, for the Toros, considering that they took away the undefeated streak of 18 games undefeated that El Paso came into this match. And so, like I said, now we've got some pretty good matchups up ahead, and we'll see where it takes from there. But for right now, I think that's going to be it for tonight. I just wanted to get kind of my feet wet back with this whole thing with the podcast. I appreciate all of you guys who took their time right now to listen to the show. Hopefully we should be back next week, back with Ray and Jacob next Wednesday. But all I can say right now is go Toros. Have a safe 4th of July. Hope to see you all there at the stadium to see the Toros against Rayados de Monterrey. If you're not going, just be safe out there. Well, when it comes to handling the fireworks and all of that, we don't want any tragedies to happen, right? We want everybody to be as safe as possible. And please, for the love of God, do not shoot bullets up in the air. I beg you. That is the dumbest thing anybody can do, because whatever goes up has to come down, and that's just the way gravity works, So don't do that. So Tio Edson Ochoa tells you don't shoot guns up in the air in celebration of the 4th of July. Mike, he says this is the best team in the past couple of years. Definitely. I think even better than the 2016 season. So there's a lot of potential, and there's a lot of people that have high hopes for this team. And so far, I know it's still early in the season, and there's still a lot to improve, like I mentioned. But man, is this team so fun to watch. I just hope that the fans do their part and show up to the stadium as well and support the Toros. But guys, this is going to be it for tonight. I wish you all the best, and we'll see you all next week. Thank you all for all of your support. We'll see you in the next episode. Take care.